my name is Heather Veneziano, and I'm the Director of Public Engagement and Development for New Orleans Catholic Cemeteries. We're here today in St. Louis Cemetery number 2, which was founded in 1823. Originally it was 4 squares, now it's only 3. Early on in its history it turned into only 3 actually, because they took the funding and then purchased St. Louis number 3, which we'll be visiting later on today. But for this cemetery, I was hired a number of years ago to complete a conditions assessment of each tomb within this cemetery through my business, Gambrel and Peak Historic Preservation Consulting. So with that, I built on the framework set by earlier surveys, and I decided to go digital and do it within ArcGIS software using the Survey 123 app. And by using that, it was really convenient because I was able to incorporate a lot of specific things that are only found within this one cemetery. So there's roughly 43 questions that I answered for each tomb. I also plotted each tomb on a digital map, and by laying this basic framework, as the organization grows and moves forward, they're able to add more information for the future, and then also add eventually interment data and other important historical data onto the map as well. So this is building the framework, knowing where we're at so we can figure out where we're going in the future. And I think it's a project that's really easily replicated. We actually, after the completion of this cemetery survey, we started branching out and doing all 13 of our cemeteries, and that's an ongoing process that we're working on right now. So a lot of it will be public facing. People from all over the country, all over the world, will be able to go online, look up the tomb of their family members, and have access to high quality visuals of their tablets, other pertinent information. So I think building things out digital is really opening up a whole new world of interaction with the public, other colleagues that are working on similar conservation issues. It just brings out a lot of positive dialogue about the direction we're going in.
Hi, my name is Laurel Fay. I am a recent graduate of the Tulane School of Architecture Historic Preservation Program. I just got my MSHP degree, and I've been working in St. Louis Cemetery number 3 under Heather's guidance. So this cemetery was founded in 1854 after a really large yellow fever outbreak in New Orleans, the worst on record, which was 1853. So some of the first interments in the cemetery were from yellow fever victims. The cemetery was laid out by a surveyor named P.A. Demicourt, and he laid it out in a few squares, and it was later expanded in the 1980s to be its current size, about 7 squares. The older tombs are in the front half of the cemetery, and they're primarily made out of brick, stucco, and mortar. But as we get further back into the cemetery, the material of choice becomes granite, as that was popularized around the turn of the 20th century. So there's definitely a lot of really interesting things to glean as you travel through the cemetery. So I first got involved with this project when I was looking for a practicum project for my MSHP degree at Tulane. So I reached out to Heather, who's also an alum of the program, asking if she might have any ideas for projects. And she had just finished the digital survey of St. Louis Cemetery number 2 and really wanted to get someone started on the survey of Cemetery number 3. So I jumped at the opportunity because I really wanted to do some field work. I was really interested in GIS and digital mapping. So I thought it was a great combination of the things I was interested in. So I started this project back in June 2021, and it took me almost a year to finish. I just finished this month in May 2022, and there's about 7 squares in total, so it took a while, but it was totally worth it. I really got to explore every nook and cranny of the cemetery, and I learned a ton. So Heather and I had built out the survey using ArcGIS Survey 123 online. We designed the survey based on her previous survey questions. We added some things, kind of tweaked it for this specific cemetery. So we included a lot of tomb-specific questions. We created wayfinding questions with the lot number, the square number, section number, and it was all affiliated with the master map that New Orleans Catholic Cemeteries uses. So now I'm going to go through the survey and how to kind of do it yourself. This is a family tomb that we picked out. It's the Drew Hahn family. So on my survey app on my phone, The first question is the date, and it's super easy. I just literally tap it and it shows today's date, so I tap out. Then the next question is the location on the map, and so I'm just going to click it and zoom all the way in to find the correct location. Then the next question is the square number, and that's really easy. This is square 2, and we're in section F here. The lot number is about 22 to 23. As you can see, this is kind of a larger enclosure, so it actually spans 2 lots. So we're going to put 22-23. It's facing St. Louis Avenue, where we're standing. And then the primary photograph is super easy. I'm just going to take a photo of the entire tomb. So I'm going to stand a little bit further back so I can get every inch. And then the next question is the additional photographs. So this is when I'm going to go in and take a picture of every single detail that's important. So the first thing I like to do is the family name. So I'm going to just go in, zoom in a little bit, get as close as I can without it being blurry. Take a picture of that. I'm also going to take a picture of the next stone there that says family tomb. Then I like to get a picture of the whole tablet, and then I'll get pictures of the tablet in detail. So I like to get for the entire tablet here. And then I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see every piece of writing. So I usually do 2 photographs of the tablet to get the top and bottom, as well as a third with all of the information. Sometimes there's a builder and carver marker. It's usually on the lower right-hand corner. So here it's a little bit covered by the vase, but I can still see it's called calico. So I'm going to get a zoomed-in photo of that. And with a tomb like this, often the enclosure will open. This one's a little bit stuck. I'm not going to jiggle with it, but I'll get photos around the enclosure. I'm also going to get photos of all of the vases that are present, because a lot of times those will have names on them. So we just want to make sure that we're capturing all of those details. And then next I'm going to take a photo of the enclosure elements. I like to get a photo of the gate that's centered. I like to get a photo of the corners just in case. Sometimes elements of the enclosure are missing, so I like to capture everything in case it can ever be repaired. And then the last thing I like to do is get photos of each side of the tomb. So I'm going to do that now. I usually try to get like a 3/4 view if there's a tomb next door, because it's a little hard to get a full straight image, but that's okay. I'm going to pop around to the back. Get a photo here. And then I'm going to go all the way to the other side as well. So all in all, it's about 12 photos for a family tomb like this, which is pretty standard. So let's go around the front. So now that the photos are done, there's a few more important questions that we answer. The next one is tomb size. This one is a single family tomb, so I'm going to check that box. What's present on the lot, this is clearly a family tomb. And then the name inscribed on the family tablet, that's going to be Druhan that we see at the very top there. So I'm going to type it exactly how it is. If there were multiple names, I would use a semicolon to put between them rather than a dash or something like that. That way it's consistent. And then, as we saw before, the designer, builder, stone carver name is Calico. So I'm going to make sure I type that correctly. And then, is there perpetual care? That one's an easy question because we can see there's a perpetual care marker right in front there. So if that's present, I always check yes. And then the next question is if there's a military marker. And I don't see one on here. Sometimes there might be information on the tablet inscribed, but in this case, I don't see anything. Normally what we would be looking for is a granite rectangular marker, but that's not present here. So I'll say no. And then there's no military branch present because there's no marker. So I'll leave that one blank. And same with the which war battle question, blank again. Then the final question is whether or not there's a metal enclosure. And on this tomb, there's a full metal enclosure that goes all the way around. So I'm going to check full. And then lastly, there's a notes section where if there were any issue potentially with like a broken tablet or something that might need attention, I would put that down. Or if there's anything interesting on the tablet, like if this person was very famous in New Orleans, I might mark that down. Any other pertinent information that wouldn't have been included in these questions, I would put in the notes section. And so after that's all done, I pretty much, I just check the check mark box. I just check the check mark box, and then I send the survey. So it's really easy. It's a little time consuming at first, but when you get the hang of it, it goes really quickly. So next we have a society tomb. This one is actually in French. It's a Société d'Assistance Mutuelle La France, fondée le, 1616, avril 1895. Oh God, sorry, my French friends. 1894. So this one's oversized. As you can see, there's 8 vaults in the front here, and they're all numbered. And then there's a plaque on the bottom here that has the directors and officers of this society. Okay, so now I'm going to go into the Survey 123 app. And a lot of these questions are going to be exactly the same as before with the family tomb. We're going to start with the date, the location, the square, section, and lot number. And it's facing St. Magdalene Aisle this time. And then the primary photograph, I'm going to stand back here and make sure I get it from top to bottom. I'm going to take a picture of the whole society tomb without cutting the cross off or anything. And then next I'm going to take all the additional photos. So I like to start from the top and go down and then go around. So for this one I'm going to try to get a picture of the cross, and maybe if I can squeeze it in also the name of the society tomb here. And then I like to sometimes get these details on the top corners. Any of these architectural details are definitely worth photographing. And then I'll just take a picture of the vaults. So it looks like for this one I could probably fit 2 in one picture, but you can also do 1 picture of each. Really, the more pictures the better. And then for this one, I'm going to take a picture of this vase that says the family name Downey on it. And then I'm of course going to get this plaque below that has all of the names of the officers and directors of the society. So next I'm going to get a shot of the side. And it's important to remember that when using the ArcGIS Survey 123 app, these photos are not stored on your phone, it's all in the cloud. So you don't have to worry about all these photos taking up space on your phone, which is so helpful. I'll go around to the back. Oh, but first, I see a broken tablet, so I'm going to make sure to get a picture of all those pieces. I always keep my camera vertical so that all the pictures are visible in the same way. You don't have to turn your head on a computer. And I see that this tablet has English on it, as well as the French that we saw up top, so that'll be a question we answer later. Next, I'm going to do my best to get a picture of the back here. I might have to step over here to kind of get it all in. Okay, zooming all the way out. I got a pretty good shot there. And then I'm going to get this side too. Luckily we have an empty lot here, so it gives us a nice vantage point. And then there's 2 tablets on this side, so I'm going to get a closer up picture of each of those. So I got the whole tablet in that shot, and now I'm going to zoom in to make sure we capture all the words clearly. And we can see that's also in French. and measure, I'll get a shot of the 3/4 view of this side. Okay. So again, the more pictures, the better. So the next question is the tomb size. And so we're going to choose oversized for this one. It's definitely way bigger than a family tomb. And we can see that there's 8 vaults, so that's easy oversize. The next is what's present on the lot. So this is a society tomb. So we're going to check that box. And then for the society name, that's where we're going to put Société d'Assistance Mutuelle La France. And then the names inscribed on the family tablet, I'm going to put NA for that because we actually already have the society name in a separate question. And then the next question is the language. So we saw there's obviously French represented here, but then on the broken tablet on the side, we also had English. So I'm going to check both of those boxes for French and English. And then the designer, builder, stone carver name is actually Monceau. That was on the broken tablet. So we can go take a look if we want. This one was kind of hiding in plain sight. So it's behind this. I'll carefully move that, but it's right here. It's a little hard to see, but Monceau. So the next question is there perpetual care? And I'm going to take a guess and say no because of the condition of this tomb, but we always would look in the front here, and as you can see, there's no plaque that says perpetual care. Then next, is there a military marker? And here again, there is no military marker that I can see. So I'm going to check no for that one. And then I'm going to leave the subsequent questions relating to that blank. And then finally, is there a medical enclosure? And obviously no, there is not. So that concludes this next survey. And next we'll do a coping plot. So this here is a coping style family tomb. So we see it's very different than a family tomb or society tomb. It's more of like an in-ground burial with walls around it. So we have the headstone here, and then we have 2 family names here, as well as the 3rd family name here. So those would all go into the family name question, separated by semicolons. And then in the front here, we have a military marker. So this one says it was a Navy veteran of World War II. And so that would be the kind of thing that we would answer those military questions for.
Laurel did a really good job of explaining exactly how each tomb is dealt with and how the information is captured. But this is also something that can be replicated in really any cemetery and even neighborhood surveys. The app is free to download, so if you're working with volunteers, it's really easy for them just to go to the app store, download it on their phone, and they're good to go. For the organization, you can either order a personal account. If you're a volunteer organization working in a cemetery, that's a really good option. Or if you're a business like we are, we're a nonprofit, we have a business license. So for a personal license, it's roughly $100 a year. For a business license, it's $500 a year. And if you think about that compared to outsourcing this type of work to a company, which would be thousands of dollars, it's really economically feasible, I think, for anyone to come up with either $100 or $500 for a small organization to do this work. There's tons of training videos online, on YouTube, and on the Esri website to help walk you through the process. The National Park Service also uses this for some of their cemetery surveys, so I'm sure they would be open to answering questions as well. But I think it's just a great tool. It's really easy to train people and to build it out to be specific to the needs of your own cemetery.